Finding the right real estate professional can be challenging. I'm broker Melissa Wilson. I'm knowledgeable in all aspects of the real estate process. So whether you're looking to buy new or an existing home or have a commercial need, I'm here to help.
Make sure you pick up my 2 books that's in Amazon right now. The first one is Passive Aggressive Racism and the System of White Supremacy. And I talk about in that particular book how the system of white supremacy really runs and on our daily lives here in America. In our latest book, 7 Steps to Decolonize the Mind, we go through those steps to try to deprogram you from the system of white supremacy. Make sure you can pick up those books on Amazon.com.
Introducing the African Diaspora News Channel app, your gateway to stories that's overlooked by the corporate mainstream media.
At African Diaspora News Channel, we cover stories that don't receive mainstream attention, and we serve as the voice to the global Black community. We are committed to informing and educating through the power of media, connecting the African diaspora one story at a time.
With our platform, we're helping to end injustice by exposing it.
Join us in standing for excellence in journalism and serving our community. Download the African Diaspora News app today.
For tuning in to African Diaspora News Channel. My name is Vicki Dillard, and I'm so pleased to be one of the co-hosts here on this absolutely amazing network that's absolutely changing the narrative, watch this, around the world, specifically for our people. Yes, so make sure that you subscribe, make sure that you share, and make sure that you support the channel, okay? Thank you so very much. Family, family, family. Let me tell you all something. This presidential election, as you all know, we have been doing coverage on that. Of course, we discuss things that's happening around the world as well. But you don't want to miss this, because this is a case study, beloved, about really the fall of the American empire. And it happens not just because of outside forces, not just because of the threat of BRICS and the so-called majority nations of the planet. Yes. Of the global South, as some say, which is the appropriate term, is more the global majority, which tends to be mostly the melanated and darker peoples of the nation, family. But this lets you know, first of all, the forces and the inner workings that happens within the U.S. government that assist in its destruction, in its imploding. Yes, we know that when something implodes, that means it's being destroyed from the inside. Explode tends to mean something that's happening on the outside. And unfortunately, the United States of America seems to be engaged in both. This is a case study in the implosion of the American empire by their black-looking shields. Now, you must understand something. I always say this. There is no nation, there's no government, there's no viable group that has some sort of a defense, offensive, or military force when they're engaged in forms of intelligence and all this kind of stuff. When they're trying to gather intelligence, one of their main forms of intelligence, watch this, is a spy. It's an op. Yes? So family, don't sit here and just automatically assume that because somebody looks like you, you automatically say when we call them out, don't attack your brother and sister. They're not our brother and sister. In the same way that someone's committing treason against their own nation or people, you know, you wouldn't call them their own. It's supposed to look like that to fool you. And we're not simple-minded over here like that. Now, I said all that to set the groundwork for this recent podcast concerning one Angela Rye and her co-host on this podcast, Native Land. Now, I know y'all like, Vicki, you talk about this lady. Yes, because she just won't stop. I want you all to get ready to see this clip, dear family, I want you to get ready to watch this clip of a part of an exchange that took place between their co-host, Andrew Gillum. How many of y'all remember the drama? Lord have mercy, the drama with Andrew Gillum. How many of you all know he was a mayor of one of the cities down there in Florida? I want to say Tallahassee. He was running for governor, did not win the governor's race, ended up having to concede to the Republican. And how many of y'all know they end up throwing a fed case on him, and then he ended up being in a hotel with a couple of, you know, Caucasian men with his just stuff was in the air. and just in this compromising position in the hotel room doing some stuff. That was some stuff. Oh, Lord have mercy. We're trying to keep it PG for the babies and stuff. The stuff managed to have been captured. It was on camera and stuff. And then it was put before the public. Some folks thought he was set up. But what was interesting is, even though he was a so-called rising star in the Democrat Party, the Democrats didn't really come to his aid like that. Talk black to me, somebody. That's what's so crazy. So, family, I want you to get ready to watch this clip of an exchange that they had. You know, sort of their post-mortem conversation about the Democrat losses, especially them losing the presidency. And we already know they can't stand Trump. They hate Trump and stuff. And that's fine and all that. But the problem is when you love the other white supremacist, Joe Biden, that's the problem I have, is when you find a way to manage to defend the other side, you know, something is the matter with you. Well, family, just know this podcast was about an hour and 17, almost an hour and 18 minutes, actually, just under an hour and 18 minutes. So I suffered for the people. This was a civil rights, a sacrifice of mine for the people, modern day, to watch that, to sit through that. Family. Just, I want you to get ready to watch this particular clip of this of Angela engaging with her co-host, specifically Andrew Gillum, how she's getting ready to just lose her mind on this in this particular exchange. Family, watch this, please.
All right, Andrew, but you're saying, but
No.
a part of what you're saying suggests that this is all normal.
Well,
don't let me
okay,
well, clarify.
anything,
Let me
because
know.
I can say things.
Well,
So
say it more clearly, because that's what it sounded like to me too, please.
No. So ceremony is one thing. These are ceremonies that have been cultivated over a period of time that don't inure any approval to this man's agenda. It doesn't rubber stamp, sign off on, or agree with Elon Musk being not just a gatekeeper, watchkeeper, but nowhere near the government of the United States in any capacity.
Osama bin Laden sitting down in the Oval Office with the president?
Listen,
would they have had Osama bin Laden
if Osama
in the
bin
Oval
Laden were
Office
elected,
sitting down with the president?
Well, can I just point out a point?
He's a terrorist. This man is a terrorist.
Guys, this isn't that. That's not the point. All I'm saying is we can go off the cliff.
It is the point. It is absolutely the point.
Well, let me hear, Andrew. Let me hear what you have to say, Andrew.
You can go off the cliff and never, ever get power again. That's where we are. No, that isn't where we are, because we haven't begun to
very well could be. He said this was the last election.
But Angela, you are smart. However, your wisdom does not supplant that of all of the American people who went out and voted. And unfortunately, I've had to subject myself to the same damn thing. You don't think I'm hurt? I felt awful. I felt humiliated.
I'm not questioning your pain, brother.
I'm going to finish my point. And ashamed that I had to call a guy and who I don't respect, who I don't like, and anything else, and concede a race for governor. Mm-hmm. No, it didn't feel good. It didn't feel good to Kamala either. She had warned the country of what a fascist looked like, and it was him in standing for him. Yet, she picked up the phone, she made the call, because that's what mature democracies do. Now, two things. We don't want to conflate two different things. Do you think Kamala Harris is rubber stamped and signed off on his policies on Elon Musk
even talk
or any
about
of the above?
her. I
no,
said
you didn't name check her, but it is important.
No, I didn't even bring up her concession
This is
call.
why, but you didn't. But I did.
I did not.
You
and
did
I'm
not.
saying
You
I
did
asked
not,
the question
Angela, but
about
I did.
the Presidential
If I could
Transition
say
Act of
why.
1963
If I
and
could
the
say
Oval
why.
Office meeting not being statutorily required.
Again.
That is
Andrew,
a
finish your
different
point. Finish your point.
conversation.
Because you're talking about the
because I don't want to
pageantry.
I don't want to be labeled as saying something else. I didn't say anything about your concession call. I didn't say anything about his
I think
concession
Andrew's
call.
making a different point. So Andrew,
But
finish your point.
It's not okay to say that I essentially suggested that when you didn't want to have anything suggested to you either.
You can assign me saying that the president should attend inauguration and host the incoming president at the White House as being a rubber stamp of Elon Musk. Never said that.
I did not say anything about Elon Musk.
Let me get back to the point, though. Let me get back to the point, if I could. The point is, we can still disagree with this man vehemently, and the fight still remains. Him sitting down for an hour-long coffee is not what we are really taking issue with. What we are really going to be taking issue with is when he starts lining people up and marching them out of this country. When he comes in my neighborhood, for my children, for my family, for my way of life. Those are the fights, and we have to gear up. And to bring us back to what the question was.
Family. I'm a spiritualist. So let me inform you in case you didn't know. What you just watched there, what you just witnessed firsthand is what possession looks like. Let me hit the gavel on that. I gotta hit the gavel on that one. Are y'all hearing me today? I don't care what your spiritual background is, your spiritual system, religious system. Beloved, one thing we ought to agree on right there, even if you don't know how to do an exorcism or any of that kind of stuff, what you just witnessed with your own eyes, what you just heard with your own ears, what was an actual possession. Something is really the matter with them folks. Now, let me tell you something. I want you to understand that it is not only illogical, it is crazy. The way Angela Rye just acted on there was not just like a nut, but a Wally walnut. Like, where does one even begin? When you even try to use words, logical words, when you try to apply intelligence to it, you feel like that you're giving yourself a mental demotion by even trying to make sense of that. Even to try to characterize it as something, it's like you want to move on to the next aisle. You just want to blink real fast and move on to the next subject. I'm bringing this up, family, because this is the effects of when biscuits, trinkets from an oppressive and white supremacist system and nation and party is denied to you. See, when Kamala was initially in the running in a very undemocratic way without an appropriate primary, yes, Angela Rye, Tiffany Cross and them, others within that media sphere, they felt that a political Democrat job, they felt that a little office or a desk at the White House was in reach. They thought that these years of being fired from CNN or contract not renewed in Angela Rye's case, talk black to me somebody, contract not renewed or fired, Tiffany Cross for MSNBC, Andrew Gillum rejected even by the Democrat, some of the Democrats in Florida that didn't really respond to him very well because they ended up putting the Fed case on Andrew Gillum. He ended up winning, thank goodness, but he was still supposed to be a rising star in the Democrat Party, and they just kind of really abandoned him. All of these rejects do a show together to wield influence. They disrespected by those different groups and offshoots of the Democrat Party or their talking heads. And they're still giving it one more go with the hope that they stood a chance to have another job or position either in legacy media or at the White House or something like that. So when those biscuits, when those trinkets are denied to you, you react wildly, erratically. Are y'all hearing me today? Your mind is open to different things. What you didn't see in there, I told you that this podcast was like an hour, just under an hour and 18 minutes. Watch this. In there, Angela said how she was getting up in the, y'all. Let me stop. I'm trying to get it together, but this real, like for real. Angela stated in that podcast, she was getting up, y'all watch this, in the middle of the night screaming, no! That's what she said. She said in the podcast, like 2, 3, 4 in the morning. Andrew Gillum said he didn't get out the bed for days. They was giving us all these therapeutic confessions, these couch therapy, intimate sessions that I don't even think we had any business knowing like that. I think that might have been a breach or something. He said he didn't get out the bed for days. He started recounting stories of one of his babies coming up to him, talking about how Kamala lost and all this stuff, and how they had to tell the child and stuff, and he didn't get out of bed for days. For days. For days. Family, family. Vicki, please move on. I have to emphasize this. I'm trying to show you a picture of how erratic. I'm trying to show you a mirror of how this is outrageous. When you all sat up here and wanted us to go for a woman who used her career to execute and enforce modern slavery that disproportionately affected Black folks and cover it up. This is a woman that's taking money from corporations and entities that represent foreign governments and entities that are making billions and trillions of dollars off of bloodshed. Y'all said go for that. Y'all wanted us to go for the party who's responsible for destroying a couple of generations and signing off on and being the mastermind and architect of the worst piece of legislation since the mid-20th century that's responsible for the destruction of the Black family that was codified in law. This is what happens when you allow yourself to be lied to. You lie to yourself also, and in a form of delusion. Some of you Christians out there know there's a section of the scripture that talks about doctrines of demons. Y'all don't really know what that means though. But that's the real demon. And then you say, Vicki, why are you making fun of them? Because this is crazy. And notice the language that Andrew Gillum used to his co-host. And y'all gonna have me defending Andrew Gillum. I never thought I would do that, but shout out to Andrew Gillum that cut off Angela in that clip that you saw and made it clear to her. Not only did he say at the end, he's going to finish his point at the end of the clip that you saw, but he made it clear to her. He said, you can go off a cliff. Let me hit the gavel on that. Now, I don't usually defend them boule shields, the Sambos of the world. But he was right about that when he told her about her going off these cliffs. He's like, I'm getting out the car, ma'am. He's sitting there screaming in the car with her. I'm speaking metaphorically. Like, please let me out. She refused to stop the car. Andrew said, look, I'm going to unbuckle myself and jump out while the car is moving. Because there's a mountain cliff up there and you're the only one that's about to run off and I'm not going with you, crazy. He at least did say that to her, didn't he? And this is the point that I think was so important, and I hope that we don't miss this, family. As you come in, be sure to give it a big thumbs up and share. We certainly appreciate it here. That way other folks will know that we're here. Family, the other part that I thought was so amazing, I was trying to see the comments here. I don't know if all the notifications went out or not, but it doesn't matter, family. Hit that thumbs up button, share. No, it's not letting me go there on this device, but let me focus on you all anyway. Family, watch this. He said toward the end of that piece, he said what? He said, Angela, he told her, your wisdom, your intelligence doesn't usurp the intelligence of the people that voted the way that they did. He was letting her know in no limit of time, you sound arrogant and crazy and like a nut job, ma'am. Did y'all hear him say that? I got to give him credit for that. I don't even fool with them Democrat shields, but he saw how crazy. He was like, we all crazy, but you crazier. He admitted he was in bed for days, but he's like, I did that at home. Right? So the point is, she is delusional like a lot of the other Democrats that are out there delusional. It doesn't mean that the Republicans are right. It doesn't mean Trump is right. And it doesn't mean that the forces and the factions that put him in office were right. It just means you ain't right either. It means that whatever you're saying isn't working. You can sit here and play yourself, Sonny Hostin, on The View by pretending like you are more important, more profound than the average person. But you're not using the language that's resonating with the streets. You're not using language that's resonating with the people. Under your administrations, you did not show or prove how their incomes improved, how their positions in society improved, how their lives in any fashion really improved. Are y'all hearing me? He let her know in so many words that that's a level of arrogance, and as smart as you are, all that smarts, it don't count here. And plus, it didn't work. Now, I got to give him credit for that. He told her, get out. He said, off a cliff. And look, what did she do? Angela Rye literally cussed out her co-host. She dropped the F-bomb, didn't she? They had to bleep out what she said. I'm not off a blanking cliff. The people are. America is. No, two things can be true at one time. Other Americans can be off a cliff, and so are you. We want you all to know, Democrats, you can expect this and more when you don't get tangibles for your most loyal constituency. This is what happens to you when you take us for granted. This is what happens to you when you try to sabotage us and retaliate against us. How many broadcasts have you seen me do here on this network, as well as some of my other illustrious colleagues, on the disrespect that they showed to Black Chicagoans? Didn't the Black Chicagoans try to reach out to the Democrats? Wasn't it the Democratic leadership there, the Democratic elite, that tried to change the rules for Black folks to engage in the political meetings there? Did you all know there was the Democrats there buying through Brandon Johnson, the Black mayor there, and his folks? They tried to change the rules because so many Black folks were showing up to the hearings and meetings that they didn't want you all to have access directly to those that you put in power. So they changed up the rules and said, guess what? You've got to have a state ID to come in here. The Democrats did that. Remember the Democrats that told you that if we went along with the Republicans to have to show ID to vote, they told us that the Republicans were racist if we did that. But the Democrats in this case tried to retaliate against their own Black constituency by demanding a state-issued ID to attend those meetings. Then they said you got to register early to come to the meeting so that they can scrutinize you before you get there. Then they changed the floor plans of how accessible and the proximity you have to the lawmakers there, so that they'll make it difficult for you to be in the same room with them so that you can be in one of the other floors. Thankfully, a third-party government watchdog agency contacted the mayor and told him, sir, these proposals you made might be a breach of the law. So the Democrats were forced to rescind some of those proposals to change up the policies. They were retaliating against Black folks in Chicago and around the United States because we were saying, why are you all spending billions of dollars for illegal immigrants and stepping over Black homeless people? Didn't the Black activists on the ground in Chicago tell you Democrats that before y'all came there for the DNC, didn't they tell you that they had plans to disrupt it and to hold y'all accountable? See, some of you family, you all don't know how the Democrats tried to sabotage and disrespect and silence their own constituency, and they thought they were going to get away with it. Why? Because they got away with it so many other times before. But because of the work of networks just like this and voices just like mine, alternative Black grassroots voices, independent media grassroots voices, like our brother Phil, African Diaspora News family, and the family of networks that's attached here, it was because of our influences and other similar voices that the people resonated with. And we showed them in no limit of time our power. And they've suffered not only the presidency, but the Senate, and now apparently the House. This is what you get. So I'm bringing that up to let you know, Angela, you cussing out your co-host because you mad and seeming like something's wrong with your brain and mind. You can still keep doubling down and tripling down on the failed thinking and narratives that you all been employing this whole time and see what it's going to get you. Now, you got one of your co-hosts who is a deep Democrat shield, but he's trying to pull you back a little bit to say, goodness. Your wisdom, he said, doesn't outrank the wisdom of the people. That's what he told your funny looking self. He said, you smart, Angela, but you're not wiser than all your wisdom didn't work with stopping the people from voting for Trump or staying home. Let me tell you something, family. When you have a singular focus as a so-called Black person, when your concerns are not for the Black collective, when you are just compromising and refusing to do the bidding of what's good for the masses of Black folks, and you just concerned about whether or not you're going to get a job on cable news or establishment media, or you're going to get you a little desk at the White House, or you're going to get access to the White House, then you lose your way. And that's how you become possessed by them demons that we just saw. Talk Black to be somebody. I was reminded of a story. How many of you all saw some weeks ago on this very network where I did a broadcast about the Daughters of the Confederacy? How many of you all saw that? Sometimes my content is on different sections here, so you just have to look for it, family. Make sure you go back and watch everything that we put out. You never know what you're going to learn. All of it is connected whenever we're talking about a particular topic here on this channel. Yes? In one of Dr. Clark Anderson's book about the dirty little secrets about Black history, its heroes, and other troublemakers, he has another one that says more dirty little secrets. Again, I didn't tell the team about this, but I want to read from this very quickly. I want you all to understand how Black sellouts work. I want you to understand how white society will reward them if they're able to keep duping and tricking us, and if they pull us into their little games. This is the job of the Angela Rye of the world. But she failed at it. So those biscuits that she thought were in reach, she don't even get to eat from the biscuit. She only gets to smell the whiff of the biscuit. On page of this particular book, on page 102 and 103, this section is called Harper's Ferry Sambo Monument. Now, I discussed this before. That's the reason why I asked that you see my broadcast that I did on the Daughters of Confederacy, because this is a story that I specifically highlighted in that particular broadcast. It's very insightful, and it's important that you watch that. But listen to what it says. Hayward Shepherd, a Black porter for the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad at the train station in Harper's Ferry, Virginia, was the first person, are y'all listening, who was, I'm going to say, deleted by John Brown and his party in their raid on the night of October 16, 1859. Brown and his party had gone to Harper's Ferry, are y'all listening, to free and arm Black slaves. So here you have John Brown and his team, his Black party members, go into Harper's Ferry in order to free Black folks there and to give them arms, right, so they can free themselves. But Shepherd, that Black sellout that worked for the railroad company, that worked for the railroad, watch this. He was sitting on the station's porch. He recognized the raiders and suspected their intentions. In turn, the raiders realized his intentions, which means they saw that he was getting ready to run back. He turned around to run back to tell, to alert the white folks that John Brown and his Black raiders are coming in to free the slaves and to arm them. He snitched. Guess what they did? They said, in turn, the raiders realized his intention to warn the town of the raid. To stop him, Brown's raiders shot and deleted him on the spot. Now, Vicky's not finna shed no tear for that. So don't think I'm finna get emotional about that. You get what you get. You don't sit here and put the lives of those who are enslaved in jeopardy once again, so that you can get an individual biscuit, sir. Mr. Hayward Shepherd, you're going to put the lives of the masses of all those black folks that are enslaved. You want them to stay in that condition so that you can keep ingratiating yourself to your white master. Watch, this is the kicker though, y'all. Did y'all know there's a monument that's erected in his name? What about the monument, Vicki? This is what I did the broadcast on some time back. It says, for his actions, the United Daughters of the Confederacy and the Sons of the Confederate Veterans erected a 900-pound granite monument to Hayward Shepherd. In the following inscription, y'all listen, and y'all can look this up on the video. The team did a wonderful job of giving you the receipts of the actual monuments or images of the actual monument. This is what the monument says, y'all. Now remember, who were the folks that sponsored the monument? It was the United Daughters of the Confederacy. The white female bloodline of the Confederacy, y'all. Do you all understand that? And the Sons of the Confederate Veterans. Do you understand who these folks are? It says, this is what's inscribed on the monument. On the night of October 16th, Hayward Shepherd, an industrious, respected colored freedman, it says, was mortally, my page is getting stuck, was mortally wounded by John Brown raiders in pursuance of his duties as an employee of the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad Company. He became the first victim of this attempted insurrection. Y'all listening? This boulder is erected by the United Daughters of the Confederacy and the Sons of the Confederate Veterans as a memorial to Hayward Shepherd, exemplifying the character and faithfulness of thousands of Negroes who, under many temptations throughout subsequent years of war, so conducted themselves that no stain was left upon a record, which is the peculiar heritage of the American people and an everlasting tribute to the best in both races. This is who white folks give biscuits and incentives and trinkets to. This is who white folks award and reward. Sellouts. Black folks who think only about themselves and pleasing white supremacy. This is why we have to call out the Angela Ryes of the world, the Tiffany Crosses of the world that act like this. She's sitting here trying to defend the White House, talking about Trump, being invited by Joe Biden to the White House, being greeted by into the White House, which is normal policy for whoever the new president is, incoming president is, that they should have treated him like a pariah. I get that. But we should have also treated George Bush like a pariah, because everywhere around the world, he's considered to be a war criminal. We should have treated Joe Biden like that, because he's the one that's destroyed the lives of Black Americans. He's the one, Angela Rye, that said 2 months before he took the oath of office, Joe Biden that is, almost 4 years ago, that America is doomed in part because of Black folks. His words were not just because of Black folks, but also because white folks in America are getting ready to be the minority come 2040. Why is it that the Democrats are not outraged that Joe Biden said that recently? Why is it that they aren't upset that Joe Biden eulogized one of his mentors that was a literal former Ku Klux Klan member, said he's his mentor, and had a whole bunch of other bona fide certified Ku Klux Klan buddies and mentors and associates? This is why we can't stand the likes of your Boule members. Because as long as a white supremacist is friendly to them and will give them a biscuit and erect this type of a monument for them, they will sell the rest of us out. The last of this section says what the inscription neglected to say. Y'all ready for this? I talked about this in my broadcast that I did on this some weeks back. Listen, what the inscription neglected to say, of course, y'all listening, is that Hayward Shepherd, the black sellout that went and snitched, that was headed to snitch, Hayward Shepherd died because he chose to place the way of life of the white citizens of Harper's Ferry above the welfare of his own people. Guess what else that monument didn't say? That monument didn't say that the reason why that day Hayward Shepherd was free and working for the railroad company to go snitch when he was sitting on the porch that day was because he had already received a meritorious manumission for freedom because some other sellout stuff he did before. Did you hear what I said, family? Look this up. There was an actual legal policy in the United States of America called meritorious manumission. That was something that was awarded to, for example, an enslaved person if they did something to benefit white folks. If they snitched on a black insurrection or riot. If they invented something that helped white folks. Do you all understand that? So when we tell you all that these folks are bones and biscuits, we literally mean that they would take food and any other tangible benefit from their white slave master as approval for assisting them and going against the masses of their own people. Vicki calls you possessed. You are possessed, baby, by a contrary spirit when you do such things. Angela Rye is absolutely disgusting in that piece. And she actually reminds me when she assists such groups of the worst in our society. But it's not by accident that she's doing that. Some of our folks that look like that were actually paid by contrary forces, unseen forces. And some of them are moved by energies that they've been surrounded by in media and in Washington, D.C. because she's been on the Hill for a long time. Do you all understand the unseen hidden forces, the true deep state energies that they are regularly orbiting around? Do you all understand that there is a spiritual element that's at work? Do you all understand that when white folks bring some of their black shields in, when they bring in some of the members of the Boule, they only tell them so much of the plan that they're involved in? There are unseen spiritual, occult, dark forces. I said there are occult, dark forces that are moving amongst those parties and people, including in Donald Trump's campaign and Kamala Harris' campaign. I'm going to be breaking down this Sunday, November 24th, for free. I'm doing an absolutely free webinar this Sunday, November 24th, a live webinar where I'm going to be exposing those dark occult forces that were used in both campaigns. And I'm going to give you the true revelation of the prophecy about the dry bones army. Ooh, right. Y'all know I can't say all of that online. So click, there's going to be a link pinned below. So be sure to click it. It's free. Tell all your family, friends, and loved ones about it. Those of you here in the United States and around the world, wherever you are in the world, click it. Don't miss it. It's absolutely free, but it's going to absolutely enlighten you. No matter whatever your spiritual system is, whatever your religious system is, if you have none at all, this is important information because you need to know what's driving your government, what's driving the economics in your society. Watch this, driving the social agenda. Where is that coming from? When you see the likes of Angela Rye, we sit there and laugh at that, but we shouldn't laugh at it. What makes one blind to what's not good for you? There's a spiritual element involved in this, and I'm going to break that down this Sunday, November 24th. Be sure to click the link before or go straight to my website at VickiPlanet.com. It's going to be on the front of my website where you can register for free. Again, VickiPlanet.com. But let's get back to this before I go. I need you to understand that when they set this agenda for the Democrat Party, when they tried to silence us, when they mocked us, They were lying to themselves and destroying themselves. You were not going to affect what actually happened on the ground because you lie about what's happening. Do you all understand that? I'm thinking about this movie called The Help. How many of y'all seen that movie, The Help? Family, if you haven't seen that movie, it's a movie that was made here in the United States. In fact, it was made in my home state in Mississippi. And it was based on this, the scene was set from the 1960s. Of course, in the 1960s, some of our family and loved ones were in the thick of Jim Crow, yes. A form of American apartheid that was diabolical, yes. And during that setting in the 60s, we found that, of course, many Black women were the domestics or working for white folks like they did back in the day during slavery. But they were considered to be the domestics, and the movie is called The Help because that's what they were really considered to be, the help. So this has to do with Black women that worked inside of the homes of white folks in the 60s during American apartheid or Jim Crow, yes? So in this particular scene, this white girl she's writing a book. She's supposed to be headed back to college, but she ends up writing a book based on stories from these Black women, the domestic Black help that was working in the homes of these white folks. Well, one particular person that played in this movie, how many of y'all know Viola Davis? She's a famous Black actress here in the United States. Well, she played the role of this character named Abilene. I believe that was her name. Did I get that right, family? I wish I could see y'all's comments. But she played the role in this movie. I want to say that's the name of this particular character in this movie, Abilene. Let me just double check the name. Yes, Abilene. So in the movie, y'all, again, the movie's called The Help. It's based on events that took place during the civil rights era, during Jim Crow era in the 1960s of Black women that worked in the homes of these white folks as domestics, right? Family, Abilene, she ended up, of course, as many Black women did in these homes, they raised the children of these white folks, right? They actually breastfed still a lot of these white folks' children. They fed the family, they did the clothes, they cleaned the house, they ran the errands, they did it all, including raise the children. Watch this. So Abilene, even when she was raising this one little, chubby little white girl in the movie, even when the white girl's family, when the mom and daddy was gone, Abilene was privately, she loved the little girl. Of course, I understand her, liking the little girl. But when she was playing with the little girl, y'all, in the room, she would tell the little girl, "You is kind." How many of y'all remember that in the movie? She would teach the little girl, the little white girl that's raised in the house of the little white supremacist mom and daddy. She would tell the little white girl, "You is kind, you is smart, you is important." Y'all hear me? Trying to use a Mississippi accent. Now that's where I'm from. You is kind, you is smart, you is important. That's what she was always telling the little girl in the movie. Family, let me tell you something. I didn't like that. Now, you got to be wise. I know that, as a serpent and gentle as a dove. When you're in the home of a white supremacist, you got to be smart. But when you hear the car turning the corner, when you see that they officially nowhere within proximity, that's not the time to keep telling the little white girl, "You is kind, you is smart, you is important." No, if I was the help, and I'm bringing this up because this is how some of y'all look, because you all like to encourage the white supremacists. You like them to grow up and thinking that they're smart and talented and important and kind. They're not. These folks lynched your mama and daddy. They want to take you out because you use the same bathroom or want to go to the same school or use the same libraries. They ritualized you on Sundays with their white clergy who was members of the Christian church. Some of them ate your family and loved ones' body parts. We have Calvaries all throughout these United States of America. Talk black to me, somebody. How many of you all know that that's diabolical? That's a dark energy and a force that's still at work in the world. Through many of your evangelicals. And you ninjas sit up there and still call them your brothers and sisters in Christ and find a way to make excuses for their foolishness while demonizing other people's spiritual beliefs. You must be out your mind. You don't even know what real possession and diabolical forces are when you can sit there and demonize somebody else's religion, but they can set your ancestors on fire and take you to Calvary, and you will find a way to still call them your brothers and sisters in Christ. No, baby, you are the real devil. Abilene, when the mom and daddy gone, you is kind, you is small, you is impotent. That's what your black bootlicks do. They want their white supremacist master, the ones that's growing up to rule over you, to have a subconscious belief and programming that they are precious. No, baby. If I was a help in that house and mom and daddy was gone and I'm getting ready to put you to sleep, my bedtime story would be different. I would be in the rocking chair. Yeah, I have you on my lap getting ready to rock you to sleep. And Vicki's story will start once upon a time. Some of y'all don't know this story. I tell it all the time. Once upon a time, I'm rewriting the movie. I'm rewriting that scene. Once upon a time, there was a man named Nat. Say Nat? Nat. It rhymes with cat. Cat. That's what the little girl, I would have had her repeat me. Say Nat, Nat. Cat, cat. Rat, rat. That's what I would have said. Nat, when it was dark outside, tiptoed up the stairs. While mommy and daddy was fast asleep. Y'all don't play with me. This is how you can be revolutionary even when you the help. Somebody say, Nat, cat, just like cats. Tipped up the stairs fast asleep. But it was dark and the moonlight came through the window and it hit a shiny object in his hand. How many of y'all know the story of Nat Turner? I would have been sneaking telling her the story of Nat Turner without telling her the. Come on, y'all. That's how you revolutionize. That's how you act like a revolutionary no matter where you are in life. Now I'm going to fast forward real quick, and all I need to tell the girl the rest of the story is, and the next day, the little girl had to be adopted. Next day, the little girl had to be adopted. Mom and daddy was no longer available. That's how you tell the stories of our revolutionaries. That's how you raise your oppressor. But you got folks like Angela Rye and them that defend your oppressor. And they will attack you, watch this, and will even cuss out your own co-host who's just as big of a Democrat shield as you. But when you don't defend them all the way to the end, and when you like one white supremacist over the other, this is how outrageous and out of their minds they are. Family, I know I'm silly. My name is Vicki Dillard, beloved. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm gonna keep it moving today, family. I can't wait to see you all this Sunday for free during my free webinar that I'm doing. The link should be pinned below. Go to my website, if not, to the front page and register there at VickiPlanet.com. I'm going to be talking about the occult magic. There was literal occult energies. Dark magic and energies that was used both on the Trump side and Kamala Harris's campaign. I'm going to break down what I mean by all of that. But this is the kind of stuff we got to talk about offline. And then I'm going to turn around and give you the accurate prophecy, interpretation of the prophecy about the dry bones army rising. How many of you all heard about that? I can't wait to talk to you about that this Sunday. It's going to absolutely change your life. Beloved, it's very important that you understand the spiritual disposition of your open enemy. Let me tell you something. If you sit up here and say, well, I ain't no religious person, so what I care about that for? Let me tell you something. If the ones that's oppressing you is making their decisions based on a spiritual playbook or religious playbook, even if it's a demonic one, you need to know about it. When you go to war, you need to know the weapons and the mindset of your enemy so that you can win. That's what I'm going to break down. So you don't want to miss it this Sunday, November 24th. The link should be below. Family, thank you so much for tuning in to African Diaspora News Channel. Don't miss Brother Phil. Of course, he goes live regularly in the evening times at 8 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss it. Of course, be sure to check out my other wonderful colleagues' content and broadcast. Family, it's important. We're talking about things that matter to you. We're giving you the game for real. And how many of you all know we've got to be intentional? Because as a counter voice to mainstream media and legacy media and its systems, media apparatus, how many of you all know they have billions of dollars at their disposal? But how many of you all know bit by bit we're making a difference? But you help us make that difference when you share, when you like, when you download the app, for example, of African Diaspora News Channel, when you tune in, when you share. Are y'all hearing me today? And for that, we say thank you so very much. I can't wait to see your comments below. Give it a big thumbs up, share. And of course, I can't